Welcome to Joe's Bar. What conversation can we get started for you tonight? Hey everybody, welcome to Joe's Bar. We are now open for February 2022. We've got quite the group here tonight. I'm real excited to have them all here joining us, and here they all are. Welcome everybody. I've got a nice little VIP group going right now. I'm real excited to have everybody here. Thank you for hanging out with us, and we're you know how this goes. Everybody who's out there, so yeah, let's run around before we get too crazy and have everybody introduce themselves. I'm just going to go down the line. So Vanessa, you get to start us off tonight.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Junta. I am the author of the urban fantasy series Soul Cavern, and I'm also a freelance editor, and I talk a lot, and I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Thank you for being here. All right, Madeline.
Hey guys, I'm Madilynn Dale. I'm a fantasy paranormal romance kind of mixed genre author. You can check out all my work on the website down here. Yeah, I'm excited to be back on Joe's Bar. It's going to be a fun night.
Let's see, you got the wine going. Awesome.
I do.
Me too.
Nice. All right, we've got two Jennifers here. But Miss Lieberman, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I am Jennifer Lieberman. I am the author of Year of the What. I'm also an actor who writes and produces to give myself acting work.
Nice. You also have a SAG card.
Yes, I do, and an equity card.
Nice, cool. That's pretty. That's pretty powerful for a Canadian actor, for sure. It is because, well, we'll get into it. I want to make sure everybody gets to introduce themselves. But all right, Adam, you want to go ahead and jump in?
Sure. My name's Adam GAFFEN. I'm a science fiction author, write the Cassidy Chronicles. You can find all my stuff right down here. And if I happen to disappear from your screen, don't worry, I'm still connected to this reality. It's just glitching every so often.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the moment when you say, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope.
Yeah, see, it's not my problem. It's reality. Reality is glitching, not me.
Right.
Nice. All right, Jennifer, you want to say hello to everybody? Tell everybody about yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Susie. I'm a horror dark fantasy author who sometimes writes paranormal romance. My latest book is She Who Destroys, and it's part 2 of one of my series. And then I have also written Dead in the Water and several other books. And I'm a huge nerd, so I love talking about books, movies, music, whatever. And I can't wait to see what we talk about tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, my favorite, one of my favorites from 2021, Dead in the Water. I really enjoyed that book.
You.
I really enjoy everything you write, but yeah, that was a really good one. All right, and we have another new guest for us tonight, Stephanie. Hello.
Hey guys, I'm Stephanie. I am a mystery and a romance writer. I have spent the last several years writing romance under pen names, and now I am writing mysteries as myself, which is very fun. And so I'm just excited to come hang out with you guys tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been trying to connect, and just between me screwing up and things happening, it was just
always ends up being perfect. That was perfect. So, and I'm here with my Jennifer that I know, Lieberman. So that's really exciting, and other new Jennifer. So in great company.
Well, let's do this then, because I feel awkward just being like let the Hollywood Squares it a little bit. There, so. Kind of be where they, where they feel most comfortable. At least I can. All right. I don't care about anybody else, just me. But I was saying before, the introductions during what Jennifer was talking about. The reason why I say that's pretty prominent for Canadian actors, especially where you live. Productions in Hollywood go up to Toronto all the time because it's so cheap. They don't have to pay for the union costs and everything like that. So, I've been there and shot stuff. So it's pretty nice. It's a beautiful city. It's crazy, but yeah, that's one of the things that you look for. You look for SAG actors because it's easier to pay them that way. So.
Well, I produced my own project, and that's how I got my SAG card.
Nice.
And it was on my web series, Dump Water Divas, and I paid all the actors and extras by Taft-Hartleying them. And this was
Nice.
back in the day when new media wasn't as prominent as it is now. So you were able to get your SAG card doing a super low budget new media project. Now new media is streaming and it's completely mainstream. But back in the day, yeah, that's how I did it.
Nice. Yeah. A lot of actor friends in Denver did web series to get theirs. I'm old, so you'll have to, I remember the days of DV tape and all that fun stuff. So, you probably, you don't know. I don't know. Mickey probably didn't tell you, but I've made many movies in my lifetime. So that's something I do quite a
Great.
bit.
Something we can connect on. That's
amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, everybody, welcome. I don't mean to just have a one-on-one conversation with Jennifer here, but so I apologize. But yeah, how's everybody doing tonight? I know there's a lot of snow going around, a lot of cold. As I sit in my brisk 62 degrees here in California.
Yeah, we're doing good. I mean, we got cold again, but it's the South. It'll change again tomorrow. It'll probably be like 75 and we'll be fine.
That's true.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Here it was 73 yesterday, and it was like 47 today.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all can keep the snow.
Yesterday here it was single digits, and tomorrow it's supposed to be 68. So,
nice.
The snow is going to be gone.
Nice.
I like that. I like having snow come down and then go away.
Hi, Anita.
Anita's here. Richard is here.
Richard.
Hey.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's nice to have you all. All right. Does anybody want to throw something out to talk about? I mean, this is always the slowest part of the show, and then we can't believe 47 minutes have gone by, and then all of a sudden we're clamoring to get out of here. So anybody have anything they want to start us with?
Well, I want to nerd out with Jennifer. I think that Jennifer should nerd out because you said you're a nerd, and I'm.
I am
too.
I so am. Yeah. But yeah. So, like, what's your favorite thing to be a nerd about? Like,
I'm a Buffy-aholic.
Me too.
And
my cat's name is Buffy.
Yeah, like
that is cool.
It's my guiltiest pleasure in the world.
There is no guilt when it comes to Buffy. She's still awesome. I just did a rewatch actually a few months ago, and it's amazing. I mean, yeah, the effects, whatever, they're dated. Who cares? But as far as the storyline, the characters, it's all still so totally relatable. But of course, I heard a rumor in the grapevine that they were thinking of remaking it, which that totally gets under my skin. If something is still relatable, and even if it's not super relatable, if it's set in a period of time and it explores and defines that period of time, you don't need to remake it. It is what it is.
They've already remade it once. It was a movie before it was a.
Oh my God! It was such a bad movie.
Yes, it was a terrible,
horrible.
It was a terrible movie, but I still love it, even though it's terrible.
It's not what that's the dating of it is not what I have a problem with. It's
right.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if you guys
is getting a lot of flack right now, and he's very controversial right now, but. The movie, he wrote the screenplay and sold it. So he had like no creative control, and it became just kind of this very campy version.
Fluffy.
And not even
the movie was super campy. I gotta tell you, I still know like all the words by heart of that movie. Because I love the movie first. And then I originally boycotted the TV show because
Me too.
So upset I was not Buffy. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I'm supposed to be Buffy.
Right. I'm like, there's no Christy Swanson. There's no Luke Perry. There's no Rutger Hauer. I don't want, or Pee Wee Herman. I don't want anything to do with it. Yeah. But of course, I end up loving the show. So
the show was better.
Yeah, the show is way better.
I mean, I will
show's
die on
way
that
better.
freaking hill. That was a horrible movie, y'all.
It was, but it was one of those times like I can still watch it today and I feel like I'm 15 years old again.
Sure, yeah, it's definitely
You know?
nostalgic.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and like
I'm
Luke Perry
totally
did
on
it
board.
before 90210, before he was like the biggest heartthrob in the
Yeah.
world. 'Cause
I know.
when
He was so
90210 came out,
awesome.
He turned down 21 Jump Street to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Turned down 21 Jump Street to do that movie.
I had no idea.
really?
Wow.
The
That is
TV
crazy.
show?
Yeah.
Why?
I like 21 Jump Street.
I
That
do
would be-
too.
That was a good
It's
show.
good. I
Well,
mean, it's a
Jump-
little bit older, like the original one. We're talking about the original 21 Jump
Yeah.
Street,
Yeah,
right?
the original
Mhm.
21.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, it's a little bit older for me. 'Cause I feel kind of young right now, but like, 'cause Buffy was like my childhood kind of stuff, and
Yeah,
like
it
I
was my
remember watching
childhood,
Charmed
too.
more than Buffy. But like, they had a remake, which was okay, but it was not comparable to like the original. But it was whole different like outtake of Charmed kind of stuff. Anyway,
This is interesting to me for one reason and one reason only. So I just did a personal rewatch of a couple films from another actor who's been ostracized in Kevin Spacey, and I mean, it's unfortunate because he helms three of my favorite films in my top 50, and it's really tough to like. I just watched The Usual Suspects again for the first time in like 10 years, and it's really tough. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine about it too, and it's really tough because of and we always somehow we always have these conversations. We talk about J.K. Rowling as part of this conversation as well, and separating the artist from the art and that aspect of things. And so, I mean, that's when they're talking about remaking something, he's not going to be involved at all in the remake. Absolutely not. I mean, he'll be lucky if he doesn't go to jail for the rest of his life, let alone make something in Hollywood ever again. So,
all the stories about him were just chilling. Like, I could not even believe it. And I've been a lifelong fan. I mean, practically a lifelong fan of his, at least since I was a young teenager. It's disappointing, to say the least.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. It's just interesting, separating the artist from the art in that respect, because that's a tough thing to do for us. Because it's such a, as you guys said, it's so embraced, so embracing with every word of this, and for me, Serenity is my Joss Whedon project.
So good.
Therefore,
so
Firefly.
good.
Yeah,
So,
even Dollhouse. Like Dollhouse was phenomenal.
Dollhouse was great.
So good. Oh my
And I mean,
God.
I'm not the hugest comic book fan, but his work with the Avengers and stuff was also really good with the MCU, so those were really entertaining.
I was actually happy the Russo brothers took that over, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a little campy up until the Russo brothers kind of brought it to the forefront. So, but yeah, I agree. I think I don't think it was a bad movie in any stretch of the imagination. So,
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think the thing with separating the artist from the art, I think, we're seeing this as a problem more and more lately, because of social media.
Yeah.
And, I think it depends, it depends on you, the person, it depends on that other person and what they did. And I think it's easiest, in my opinion, it's easiest to reconcile that with like movies and TV shows. Because there's so many other people involved. Like, you can be like, God, I hate what Joss Whedon did, but there's so many good people, so many amazing people involved in the making of Buffy. And of course, he's not on screen, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So it's easier to still enjoy that and just pretend he doesn't exist,
And I also wanted to say, like, there's a big difference between being a criminal and just being a dick.
Yeah.
That too.
Because Joss Whedon didn't commit any like abhorrent crime. He was just a dick. you know, and, you know, so I also think there's a big difference between that. And also I think when you're young and when you have that much success and that much pressure, like I look back, I was running a theater company when I was 22 years old. I would be horrified if people still judge me in the same light of how I behaved at that time in my life. I was so young. I had never been in control of anything. And I was running this company in charge of hiring a staff, hiring the actors, raising the money. I was, you know, like working, you know, full-time job plus full-time theater. So I think there's also like people lose perspective of like what that person was going through at the time. And you know, and also we live in a climate right now where everyone's really sensitive and people's feelings can't get hurt anymore, even though that's just a natural part of the world and life.
It's a natural part of life, yeah.
You know, and like more and more I'm hearing stories and I'm just, I'm not taking away, like abuse is never acceptable, whether it's verbal or physical, but also certain stories I'm hearing, I'm just like, I think we all need to grow a pair.
Yes.
Yeah. There's definitely a line.
Sorry, but the abuse thing, okay, the whole Kanye and Kim stuff that's going on. Have y'all seen some of that? That is straight up abusive right there. I'm not gonna lie. That, sorry, my accent came out. Like,
I have not seen much of it, but what I have seen is just weird. But
he was stalking her house dressed up as a butch. Okay, like
oh my god.
But there is a mental health component.
Yeah.
You know, there's also a difference between being a dick because you're a dick and being a dick because there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I'm not excusing what he's doing at all.
Yeah,
He does suffer from mental illness and he has his manic episodes from time to time. And we're aware of that. We've known that for years.
And he apparently, like, something I read, don't quote me, this may be wrong, but like they said he's refusing to get help to take medication for it and stuff. And I'm like, why?
Because he says it stifles his creativity. And he says
that's
true. It can, but
I know a lot of people
like,
who don't like to be on their meds because they feel like it numbs them out. And, you know, and it's a double-edged sword because it's like, okay, are you a danger to yourself? Are you a danger to those around you? Are you a danger to society? Because then if you are, then F your creativity.
Right. And he's a father, you know, so that's got to count for something too, that he should want to be the best person he can try to be for his kids.
Yeah, but it's also really hard when you're my best friend has she's bipolar and she's been suffering. She recently had two, over the last several years, had two, and she's on her meds, like she has been since she was 14, but she's had two different completely disconnected from reality type of events happen in her life. And you know, and the good thing is she's been dealing with her mental health issues for so long that as soon as she would be a little bit away from it in her head, like a time away from the episode, she would recognize that was irrational. She still 100% understood. She believed it. She believed that if she stepped out of that window, she would become a spirit. She would turn into a spirit that could then go into the bodies of world leaders and create world peace. She absolutely believed that.
Wow.
You know, so like there's a lot more to the Kanye thing than just there's mental illness and there's stalking or whatever. I mean, it's so complicated.
It is. It definitely is, because there's a lot of factors, and I'm definitely not like excluding putting that in there, but I'm just like I'm worried for both sides because it's crazy. Like,
and I'm worried for the kids too.
Me too.
You know?
And it's going to traumatize them.
Yes,
like,
a child growing up with a parent who has mental illness, there's a big effect on, you know. So.
Well, and the thing
sorry, I'm not laughing at all of you. I'm just reading. I'm reading the comments. Sorry,
know.
everybody.
Ron's like,
Yeah, JD
"You
had a
are
good
lot of
comment in there.
fun."
He like, yes, he does, but he doesn't get the joke, does he, at all?
Hi, Ron.
No, I think the thing too is as far as oh yeah, I forgot for a sec, now I remembered. With like the celebrities, I think the thing I worry about, of course we're seeing everything they go through because they're very extroverted people, so we're seeing a lot more than like you would normally see from another person. But the thing I worry about when I see these celebrities is it's like, I wonder, is there anyone in their life who's ever just like, hey, you're going too far. You've got to slow down. You've got to take a care for yourself. But I think a lot of them are just sycophants and they're like, hey, you're getting lots of likes. Just keep it up. It's cool. It's great. And they're not doing them any favors.
Yeah, but
no.
like we can't know that. We can't know that. They may
That's
have
true.
somebody. There may be somebody in
I
your
hope
life
so.
going, "You really need to get on your meds," and him going, "No, I don't wanna." You know, you can't shove the meds down his throat, right?
No, but I just hope for these people that there is someone who
I do
is,
too.
you know, that cares about them, not because they're famous, just because
Yeah.
they love them, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, and also being in the whole Kardashian world, like that can't help, like even, you know, that just seems like a really toxic environment for all of those, for all of the women, you know, for everybody who was involved in that, you know, Kardashian empire, including Caitlyn and, you know, all the boyfriends, husbands. The brother was the smart one because he kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, Rob, he just was like, you know, and he kind of pieced out a few years back. But yeah, I don't know. I think like because several years ago, I remember hearing the statistic that Kim Kardashian has had the most hours of her life filmed out of anybody in existence, and this was several years ago already. So it has to change the way you think, the way you behave, the way you make decisions. You
There is
know,
no topic, JD. We have
So-
no.
No. That's why
It goes, what's the topic for the panel? I said, wait, there's a topic?
We're just pulling it out of our ass is what's happening.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't mean to. I didn't know we were going to end up here from.
You're totally fine.
This is
Please,
what happens
no,
Friday
please.
night at the bar.
Yeah, this is what people talk about at bars. It's totally fine, and
Yeah.
we're talking about
Craziest
creative
things
people.
have happened. So
Yeah,
right?
and that's what it is. We're talking about creativity and you
Yes,
know how it
yes.
can cause you to make decisions that aren't necessarily the best for you. I mean, art has like art history is strewn with that, you know.
yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
Jennifer made a good point earlier about how stressful things can get, and you know, and to her point, and you know, Hollywood is just a nightmare. It's such a terrible business. It's a terrible business. I'm just telling you right now, people are awful. They're just terrible, and it's a really hard to I don't know, navigate through what's real, what's not. Sometimes for people when they're so disconnected from reality at times, you know, and that's not, I'm not saying that mentally that they're disconnected. They're just they live in a different island than we do. You know, they live in a different America. Trust me, they do. And it's tough. And that's and you just don't know the stress that those kind of people are under. So and the kind of things that they go through. So it's really tough to,
yeah,
you know,
the amount of money at stake and the amount of people that they
Getting
have
under the influence.
that they have to pay. Like, you know, there's so many. It's like you only see X amount of people on camera, and it's like for every one person that's on camera, there's a dozen, at minimum a dozen people to maybe 50 people off camera getting paid.
Right.
So there's so much at stake, but
yeah. So Jenny threw out a couple topics. If you guys want to tackle these,
I'm
yes.
tired of us talking about mental health.
Has anyone ever written when they're
I
sick?
have.
This is what happens?
Writing on NyQuil is very fun. I recommend it. Not that I do it recreationally. I'm just saying the few times I was really sick, I took NyQuil, my head gets all swimmy, and then I'm like, yay, this is fun.
Oh, you have a first timer?
Yeah, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Andy Mangles out there. Say hello.
Welcome to the show.
So
Sorry.
I don't write when I'm altered. But I do brainstorm when I'm altered.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you don't get caught up by the roadblocks that you normally do because your brain is just like, "Bleh!"
Yeah.
That was a facsimile of what my brain is like.
I do drink wine when I write a lot. So, and it depends on how late in the evening and how many glasses later I'm still working on stuff, whether my writing looks like chaos or not. But I'm actually pretty like literate, and my grammar is better when I'm like super, super drunk for some reason. I don't know why. My husband's over here laughing right now.
I would disagree.
When I'm writing it out, like to actually like either texting or writing or talking, that's a different story.
Well, it's probably because you're relaxed. So you know how like when you're working on anything important, sometimes like the upper part of your brain really gets in the way and it second guesses everything you do. And like yeah, so when you relax, that beneath part of you can come up and be like, hey, this is what you should do. And it's usually like really good advice. So that's how you can listen to it.
I got this.
Yes. And I mean, there's been some fun scenes that have come from that. Joe, you've read a couple.
I've read some of the stuff that's beneath me, and trust me, it needs to just fucking stay there. Okay, it can just I can just push it back. I have never had anything from an inducement that I've written that I thought was a good idea. Let me just put it that way.
You're clearly imbibing in the wrong things.
Probably
the wrong things.
Well, you've hung out with me. You know what I imbibe in, so you know.
You're fun to drink with, though. You're fun to hang out with. I enjoy hanging out at the bar with you.
Thank you.
And speaking as a science fiction writer, I've got to keep a straight head to write because there are so many details, and I really try to get it right, and trying to Google something. I can't even imagine trying to Google something I don't understand and write about it in any kind of state other than wide awake and alert.
It's probably the same for mystery because my head is like hyper on fire and researching and trying to put the puzzles together and implanting things early enough and later that
Easter eggs.
I can see how that would be problematic.
Yeah.
I used to be a night owl. I mean, I'm still a night owl, but I find now that I'm like 9 years sleep deprived. Yeah, it's rough. And so now whenever I write at night, which was like my time, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh no, that was so brilliant last night and that's garbage. I'm like,
Anita's right. Oh yes. Oh yes. Especially when you're inventing it.
Yes.
Because you can't Google it. If you're inventing it, you can't Google it. You have to remember it. You have to know what you have to know at least what you're talking about within the universe you created. Mm-hmm. And then to Stephanie's point, I wrote a mystery within my sci-fi universe. That was interesting because I had all the things that you have to deal with, making sure the plot's good and, dropping the red herrings and, not giving it away too soon and still keep it consistent with the larger universe.
You brought that on yourself, brother.
I know. We all bring it on ourselves, okay?
That's true.
We do.
Speaking bringing it on ourselves, JD had another good question, which is, do you have any writing rituals that are kind of quirky?
I wouldn't say quirky. Yeah. I like listening to music when I write, but I wouldn't say that's weird. Oh, it's so cute. Well, or maybe the quirky part is I make a playlist for each book that's specific to each book.
Oh, see, I'm too lazy for that.
See, I made a playlist for the last book for Black Flames, but it's turning into like the series playlist because it kind of applies to the next book I'm writing too.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, these songs are so good. I'm not going to make another playlist for it. It's just going to be the Ember series playlist.
As Vanessa hides showing off the Octomuse. I thought you were taking it off and putting it away.
This is Octomuse.
It's so cute.
He hangs out with me in my Twitch stream and stuff because I do writing sprints on the Twitch stream. And so he is my muse, and he'll when I'm having a rough time, I'll sometimes put him on my head. And then he's also does double duty.
Yes,
because
I was
he's
going to ask you if he does
adorable.
the grumpy face.
And then he can warn my husband when I'm in a bad mood. So that's, and one of the things in my Twitch stream that, like, you know, as you watch a Twitch stream, you get like points or whatever, and you can spend those points on ridiculous things like making me drink water or whatever. And one of the rewards that you can buy is I have to wear Octomuse on my head for the next sprint.
Oh,
So yeah.
Nice.
like it.
Nice.
So Octomuse.
No, I'm going to disagree with you, JD. No bourbon. No. Now,
I'm with you, Adam. No bourbon. Rum.
now,
Yeah,
I was going to say, get me some good rum. I've got a nice bottle of 151.
I'm going to stick with my wine.
I've got some
Wine or
Guatemalan
tequila?
rum. I have some
Oh, I love
Guatemalan
tequila.
rum. If you've never had Guatemalan rum, you should try it. It is excellent.
Gosling's is good too.
Gosling's makes the best dark and stormy as a bartender. So I've tried them all. That's the best one in a dark and stormy.
I'll agree with you. Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
So, whee. Well,
I've never thought of it. I'll just round out the quirky writing rituals. I can't talk tonight, but I never thought of it till now. But sometimes in the opposite of the playlist, I put on headphones with no sound. Like I have like those those big ones. Like,
yeah.
maybe it's like a sensory thing. I didn't know I had sensory issues, but like I'm just like the big ones, and then someone will come in and be like, I'm like, oh no, it's not even plugged in, but it's very like. I'm in the zone and no one can talk to me. Even if no one's in here, I'm just like, like muffled out.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people who can't hear anything when they write. They, it throws them off.
Saw those today.
And I'm very easily distractible probably. So it's probably like take everything away. Because I'm like,
My personal writing quirk will drive everybody here crazy. And, I might have people upset at me actually. My crazy writing quirk is I delete words. I don't ever keep anything. If it doesn't work the story, it's gone, and I never take it back. I don't put it in a folder. I don't hold on to it. I don't cut it and paste it. I delete it, and it's gone.
Well, that's a big old waste of extra material that you can use in your marketing.
I do.
So, like, that's dumb.
I've always done it.
Do you share it though with anyone before you get rid of it? Like, do you have anyone read it before you get rid of it?
My publisher, Sneaky, she likes to save the first draft and hold on to it. And she's got it in a private folder, and then she'll sneak things in that I had already deleted back into it.
Well,
yes.
I think this is a good reminder of Stephen King's first big novel. Okay. He wrote Carrie and he absolutely hated it, thought it was terrible, and he threw it in the garbage. And his wife found it in the garbage and she read it and she was like, this is insanely good. You're publishing it. Do it. And she saved his novel because he just read it and he was like, I can't believe I wrote this crap. But of course, it ended up being awesome. So sometimes you need to share because we don't always think like that our work is as amazing as other people might think.
Yeah, we're not always a good judge of our own work.
Right.
We're always our hardest critics, like definitely.
Yeah.
And, if anyone ever talked to you the way your self-talk does, you would never talk to them again.
That is true.
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
We're laughing at Ron.
Nobody can be meaner than I am to myself.
Yeah,
absolutely. We all know like the roller coaster, right? Yeah. Where we're like, this is the worst thing I've ever written. Or like, even, I was in the film world for a long time, no matter what discipline, photography, I was a photographer, like all of them, you're like, this is the worst thing ever. And then you could also stumble upon something that was in a folder. You're like, who wrote this?
Right.
And within that, you could be like, wait, yesterday I thought it was wonderful. And now I realize it's complete.
Well, and that's it. Sometimes you need time.
Yeah. And to give it, push it away from yourself,
right?
Others, and be like, I free you from me because I'm not a good judge of character in this situation,
right?
Yeah, and sometimes
I do all that too. But as I go and I realize what the crux of the story is, because I also come from the film world, so for me it's finding the story right away and just writing that. I don't write all the extra crap that goes along with all that. So and this is the most ironic thing I could possibly say is that I'm about almost done with a 125,000 word fantasy book that I never thought in my lifetime. I am also, that's the other thing that my nerd card has been pulled for. I'm also somebody who does not like to read Robert Jordan or Tolkien. I'm not a fan of either of those folks in terms of their writing. And so I've been round and round with people about that as well. But so for me to write a 125,000 word fantasy story is like me coming to Jesus almost.
That's amazing for it. That's
volunteered
an achievement.
I don't like Tolkien either.
No, Tolkien didn't write. He didn't write his stories to entertain. He wrote them almost as an exercise in world building and language creation.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It was an academic exercise. The one book that everybody loves, The Hobbit, is the one book that he wrote basically for fun.
Right, and that's the easiest one to read. Like, it's the most engaging if you're not like a Tolkien fan. I'm, of course, a huge, like, oh my God, I love him. But it's just part of, everyone has their different tastes. I love those types of fantasy.
I appreciate the skill and the craft and the work that went into creating everything. I actually took a college course that was a semester of nothing but Tolkien.
That's cool.
I know. I see Vanessa rolling your eyes.
Hold on, really nice. That was me going, oh.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of curious how they put that course together, because that's neat. But I also I didn't take any writing courses. I was kinesiology, like the way the body moves and kind of stuff. Like that's what I graduated with, and then writing came as started with a hobby, and then here I am. So.
So I'm glad you're here. I didn't take any writing classes in undergrad or anything. I didn't take any writing until I went into my master's program. But the reason I don't like Tolkien, and it's not Tolkien specific, I don't like description. I
hear you.
Books that I read, I skim descriptions. And so it's I don't get to read any of the book.
I think I like him so much because I'm a history buff, and he's definitely got that history edge going.
I'm also a history buff. That was my major in college. But description, and I'm like Adam. I appreciate who he is in the lifespan of fantasy literature. Absolutely. I just don't particularly care for the way he writes or wrote. I guess
that is fair.
His problem for me is that the info dumping, but for me, it's the same problem that I have with Steven Spielberg. Yes, I know. Just burn me at the stake. That's fine. But it's the same problem that I have, and that's you don't know when to end a story. You never end the story when it ends. It just continues on after it ends, and that damn book has 45 fucking endings, and I'm just really pick one. Let's pick one.
I don't even care any of them.
Yeah, that's totally fine with me. I'm good if you just pick one. But
and I dislike Tolkien in the same way in the same way that I dislike Quentin Tarantino. It's not that there's this it's I want to like them. I will. I want to like them. I've watched several Quentin Tarantino movies. And it's just I just don't like them. It's not that I'm it's Quentin Tarantino, I don't like him. No, it's I want to like it because all my friends like it, but I just don't. And I started.
That's terrible. Even for you, that's terrible.
What's the one? Dawn Till Dusk or Dusk?
Oh, From Dusk Till Dawn. He actually only produced. Didn't he only produce that one, or did he write it? I forget.
No, he wrote. He and Rodriguez produced it, but he wrote it as well.
I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, I like a Quentin Tarantino movie until the vampires came out, and then it was stupid. And so damn it. I really wanted to like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
What about
Same
Natural
for me,
Born Killers?
JD.
That's like one of my favorites. He wrote it. Oliver Stone directed it.
How about True Romance? True Romance.
Oh, I love True Romance. Oh my
That's a
god.
Quentin Tarantino script, everybody.
Yes,
Such
it
a good
is.
movie.
Yeah,
Tony Scott directed that movie.
I've not seen it.
yeah.
I wanted to get to JD's quirk, which I thought was pretty funny. He writes
I
quotes.
kind of like his quirk because that's actually pretty organized, honestly.
Nonfiction source.
Wow.
It's a little OCD.
Wait,
Way more
JD,
complicated than I
if
do.
you write the novels in red ink, that is like the hardest ink to read. That doesn't strain your eyes when you're like rereading it over? Because it's so many words in a novel?
And you
Yeah, really
handwrite the whole thing?
Yeah,
Because
that would
I've
kill
seen
me.
them. I've seen
Yes,
the
yeah.
notebooks. Yeah.
I do a lot of
handwrite quite a
mine
bit. I
handwriting.
do handwrite quite a bit still,
I used to too.
but not a whole novel.
Mm-mm.
And then when I had to transcribe it, I said, "Fuck this!"
That's my
I same way because I write so fast in my cursive, and I'm like, "What the?"
I love
was I
writing. I love writing longhand and on paper, but I just like transcribing it. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
I can't handwrite. Like my handwriting's so bad. When I used to work in the restaurants and the cooks would see me coming, they'd already get their curses lined up.
Yeah,
I have impeccable handwriting actually.
mine's pretty rough. Here's like bits and pieces of blue
Go ahead.
flames, guys.
Hang on, let me get you on the
nice.
speaker.
Good. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Not
Hang on,
bad.
go ahead, say
Show
it.
it
Show it.
Show it again.
Oh, sorry. Oh. Hopefully you can't read it because that means I don't want spoilers.
Nice handwriting.
Lovely.
No, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. 'Cause
Well,
it's
I-
like crud to me, but
So here's my handwriting. I don't know. Hang on,
Wrong
let me see.
side. There
it
we go.
light it up there. There you go.
That's not bad.
No, that's readable.
good.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do all my brainstorming and stuff. I do that on this gigantic sketch pad. And
That's
so-
not bad writing either.
yeah, no, I have good handwriting.
Yeah, that's good.
All of you have amazing handwriting.
Ooh.
Like, oh my god!
Adam, did you
my
type yours
husband
out?
runs Toddler.
Yes, I
Adam's like, I
type
don't
out
want
notes.
Nice.
This is actually my list of future red shirts.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I collect names from fans and
Oh, shit.
yeah, good job, JD.
This is my
Good idea,
terrible
Adam.
handwriting.
Collecting names from fans.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't read
Yeah,
this
I get-
either.
It's like
Yeah,
a
they
drunk
say-
toddler.
Hey, I want to be in a book. And I'll be like, okay, I'll take your name and I'll and I'll use it at some point. I make no promises. They could end up like a brief mention. They could end up just in the
Yeah.
appendix. They could end up dead like that, or they could end up a major character.
But that's like another way to incorporate like your interactive readers and followers
Mhm.
into your work.
Oh, yeah,
So I
no,
like
I
that
have-
idea.
Absolutely.
I've got there are two particular groups where when I go in, I'll get a couple hundred people saying, "Ooh, yes, choose me," and then they'll go out and get the books because they're like, "Yes,
Might have
I'm
to
gonna
steal
be in
that
this.
idea.
go for it."
I think I'm going to.
Yes, JD's handwriting is very special.
As long as he can read it, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah,
it's not
and-
even
and
about
when you
reading
can't
it.
read
It's
it,
just
that's when
about
it all falls
remembering
apart.
what you wrote.
Right. And I've
I do
had that
and,
happen.
like, just get carried away.
So-
like, oh, this is what I started out with, and it just kind of.
So I suffer from this disease, which is I leave words out when I thought I wrote them down. So imagine doing that
Oh, yeah.
in longhand,
Oh
like,
yeah.
and it's just like, and then I reread it back. That actually probably is a better method anyway, because then I can see it. Then I see it that I didn't put the word in there. But anybody who's ever got an email from me or read anything of
got it.
mine knows that I've skipped words quite a bit. So Vanessa actually speaks Joe Compton now. So
I'm fluent. I'm passively fluent.
I think I'm getting there. So
And I like how you said you reread what you wrote out loud. That's one of the tips I give to all of my writers that I edit for too. I'm like, when you're editing, read it to yourself out loud, because if something's not right, you're gonna see it instantly. Your own writing, you skim right over every mistake.
Because you
Well,
know what
Jennifer-
you meant to write.
Well,
The
Deborah-
brain automatically plugs it in as you go. Then
And
you
especially
type out words
Computer
again.
reading a lot now.
Yeah.
I'll have the computer read because even if you're doing something, because you'd be like, you catch stuff a lot more, even in her little automated voice.
Right.
Yeah, I've
Well,
started
Deborah,
doing that
Stephanie
too.
can attest to how valuable a table read is. I mean, it's absolutely
Mhm.
pertinent to what you do if you're making something. You know, it's absolute. You have to have an actor read it. It's just something that has to happen.
For sure.
Mhm.
And I was actually fortunate enough
Ron.
to record my audio book before my book was actually like published. So it's amazing because yes, I caught a bunch of mistakes, but also certain sentences didn't roll off my tongue easily. So it gave me the opportunity stylistically to change things that I wouldn't have caught, an editor wouldn't have caught, I wouldn't have caught, because as when your eyes are reading it, you're not really thinking about that.
Yeah, the doubling or tripling of a word in a paragraph or even in a couple of sentences.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that I tell my clients is, I also suggest they read it out loud, because especially dialogue, because your ear hears what your eyes miss, right? Bye, Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Because you've been hearing people speak your entire life if you're hearing. So, you know what speech sounds like. So when you read your dialogue, you'll know when it sounds off. You'll hear it,
And you know what sounds authentic and what sounds like a script. Like people talk a certain way in real life, and in a novel, they might tend to get a little proper or flowery. So that rings like false in your ear too. You'd be like, I need to tone it down a little.
But then you can also get out all the stuff that people do in speech that you shouldn't have on the page, like likes. And
Exactly. It's a real fine line to make that dialogue pop and be realistic and sound natural without it actually being natural.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to go too far.
And giving them distinct voices, because where you start having your own nuances slip in. You're like, everyone says like, "Hey, man," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, no. One person.
Like, the word certainly comes up in my dialogue a lot, and I'm like, damn it, that's me. No, not character.
One character.
Clearly is the word that comes out. Not certainly. It's clearly.
One of my writing quirks actually is that I kind of take on a physicality and a voice for the character. I kind of act them out.
Oh,
nice.
Cool. And that's because I'm an actor, and any chance to perform, even if it's like in my own living room or kitchen, I'm going to take it. But that's also a way that I get out of a similar speech rhythm for each character, because if I'm kind of like trying to embody them, and it's like, okay, how would they speak? They wouldn't speak like me. They wouldn't speak like this other person. And I find that helpful. And
that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to start incorporating that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say similar. You should start incorporating it, but I find I make the faces because I do the same thing, and I'm very visual, and I had an acting background, so I'm kind of acting it out as I'm creating it. And like, if you were to walk in, I'm usually making faces. Sometimes I notice it now, but like, my husband will walk in, he's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Well, he's just about to die or like kill his person." Like, she's being horrible or whatever it is. And I'm like, "Oh, no, it's fine. I'm fine." But, yeah,
he walks in, got tears streaming down your face.
100% will like tear up if I'm writing something really emotional because I'm in that place. I have a whole story that still hasn't been published. It's called Oceanside Widows Club, but like I wrote all their widow stories at one point, and it's funny and it's like whatever. It's there's hijinks and whatnot, but there's these things, and I'm in there, and I'm like,
no,
because I'm living through their experience, but I hope. I mean, hopefully my readers always say, that comes through because I think you're so much in each of those characters' heads and their voices come through.
Stephanie, I think you totally need to do writing sprints on Twitch so that we can
Ooh,
see
yeah.
all these faces
You'll have to teach
as
me.
you're writing.
I'd probably
You
be
can always-
horrified. I'd be like, oh God.
Live stream it from like YouTube or Facebook too.
Yeah.
If you're a
It doesn't
Twitch
matter,
person.
wherever.
Yeah.
I totally would watch that.
Mhm.
I will. I'll arrange to have you teach me that sometime this year.
I am happy to help.
Another thing, but yes, anything to entertain others at my expense.
Right.
I'm down for.
I have another weird quirk that I do. Yes, I'm quirky, but I have a certain word that I put in every one of my books, and it only appears one time in my books. So.
Mhm.
You
That's
guys-
like a trademark
No.
thing, though, isn't it? What word is it?
Flabbergasted.
Oh,
That's a good word.
Like,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I was
It
sitting here
only
trying to
appears
think, but I
one
was
time.
like, which word is it?
I search.
break out the books.
I search
Yeah, they're
for
over
it.
there on the shelf.
It's the first word I search for when I finish my first draft. To make sure that I've only used it one time. So.
The
That's a
first
good
two
word.
words I search for is just and that.
Mine is really and
Just-
like, honestly.
Just
totally.
that, only very.
It's just and any version of smile.
yeah.
My characters smile so fucking much, you would think that they were a couple show.
I love people smile too.
Dude, yeah.
Love it.
Everyone, even if you've edited it before, read, you'll notice like everybody has,
Yeah.
somewhat like murmur, mumble, something.
Yes.
There's always somebody has like, or everyone has their own.
Yes. I had somebody I was editing years and years ago, and murmur was their word. Like they had something like a 400-word manuscript, and it showed up something like 600 times, and I was just like, "That is insane." Oh yeah, mine
Oh, I
not.
use sigh a lot
Nodding,
too. And
yeah.
I also
Nodding
have
is mine,
growl. So
But
mine
see,
are
we
all,
do
like,
it all the
shifters
time.
and stuff.
Yeah.
We do it as people. Look, there's Joe.
Yep.
You know,
I'm
we
nodding
do
too.
Yeah, we do it all the time. So if we're writing naturalistic characters, they're going to be nodding too.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
And
that's
nodding
their
along.
line. That's their
Yeah.
line where real life doesn't work in fiction.
Mhm.
You know, because also like one of the things that I see a lot, is when I'm editing is characters nodding and then saying yes, and it's like that's
Right.
redundant. You don't need to
Right.
do that. I know we do that in real
Some
life.
readers don't know.
Or when you see the little dots, the ellipses, the three little dots, and then it says, and they trailed off. Well, yeah, we know they trailed off because
Yes,
did
we know
that?
that already. Yes. Yes. Or speech tags like "she answered," and it's like we know she
Cool.
answered because
Yeah.
the previous thing had a question mark, and then she said something, so we know she answered.
Well, that's why she was saying that. That makes
Oh, but thank you for giving me that clue. I
Yes.
had no idea.
I ran into a thing with recently, just to Joe's thing about sticking flabbergasted in there, and I realized that in 2 of my series, I had the characters drinking the same drink, and in the same way, and I was like, can I just make that my thing, or do I have to make every book? And one of them is a dark and stormy. The other one was like a vodka or a gin and tonic, but like without where they switch over and they just do tonic. But that one also has dark and stormy with Goslings. But I was just like, can I
Nice.
put that in every book, and then they'll be like, oh, that's her Easter egg because it works in both, and I want to keep it, and then I can
There it is. I see it.
Nice.
I found it.
That weird drink girl.
Yes.
So I'll come back to you guys with that one later and be like, hey.
I like it.
Nice.
I like
That's
it.
awesome.
I'm gonna start looking for this in books now as I read them because, like, I'm always reading something, and now I'm like, okay, wait, what is their little thing that's gonna be?
Oh yeah,
in each
no,
book?
especially the first book in the series, I threw in so many pop culture references and Easter eggs, and you could go through and you could probably find something at least every other page.
Mhm.
And you've got to have some pretty good knowledge to get some of them, and others are just like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like sci-fi is like right for it, right? Like
yeah.
sci-fi is like where are you going to plant stuff? It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I've got-
sci-fi writer by any means, but I feel like that's where there's just so much in there that it's just, you're probably
There's a
saying
lot in there.
all the time, like, ha ha ha, I'm going to just stick this in there.
I've got an author that I edit for Falstaff who, in his first book of the series that we're publishing, there are several Firefly references, but they're subtle. So like you have to know it. You have to be a Firefly fan to get it. Because I was like, and he was like, oh, you got it good.
Right.
And then there was some other one, and I was like, I don't understand what's happening here. He was like, it's another Firefly reference.
That is
Not
so
working.
funny. There's a little reference to Talladega Nights in one of my books. I know. Okay. I was like,
I love that.
and nobody has pointed it out yet. And when I put that in there, I cracked up so hard, but none of my readers have pointed it out yet. And that's in the Phase Shifters, guys, if you're watching, if you want to read it, see if you can find it.
I feel like I want to go check that out.
Yeah.
I don't do a ton of pop culture references, just, a few here and there. But yeah, I had a reader catch one in Dead in the Water, actually. I described one of the characters who's, I don't want to give a spoiler away, but I described him as Rutger Hauer, and for some reason she thought that was hilarious. So
It's going to be tough to cast that in a movie.
I know. The poor guy.
I guess we got to get Rutger Hauer. He's the character in the damn book. We got to get him.
Can we reanimate him somehow, please?
Yeah, dig him up.
Hollywood needs him.
He's got to be a lookalike somewhere.
Right.
I'm a human.
Now I'm wondering what the Talladega Night reference was. Is it a cougar in the car?
It's I think I may have put more than one now that I think about it, but don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby. Is one I know for sure is in there because I say that to my husband all the time, and like I can't help it. It came on the other day, which it came on. I had to change
like
it.
a spider
couldn't
monkey?
watch it. Yes. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. And like, but I had to turn it off because it totally is not appropriate for my son to watch, who is 4, and he was in the room.
And he will repeat
my husband was looking
everything.
at me. He was like, "You're gonna keep this on?" I was like, "No."
I know
Like,
now.
how bad it was. I watched it at a young age, but not like not like 4. I was a teenager, so.
I love that, Anita.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh. Yes, Anita.
I love it.
Yeah, I did one of my characters, she totes around a 40 megawatt pulse rifle, and she calls it Ripley. So
Ooh.
it gets both the aliens, and Terminator references.
Nice.
I like
That's
Trifecta.
awesome.
Yeah, I like how it does, triple duty there.
Mhm.
So I like it. I'm a big Duran Duran fan. I'm like
Yes.
a huge Duran Duran
Oh, I
nerd.
love them.
Go vote for them. They are a nominee for Rock Hall of
Mhm.
Fame. Everybody can vote once a day for the fan vote. Anyway, all of
And
my,
vote for Judas Priest, for God's sake.
all
Lock
of
and
my
load.
books,
Yes.
all of my books have somewhere in them have a lot, not a whole line, but a phrase that is like lyrics from one of their songs.
Oh, that's
Nice.
genius.
Hicks are one of his characters, JD.
So
Because I stole a couple of lines from Hudson.
Hmm.
I think he means Bill Hicks, the comedian. But
go vote for Duran Duran.
yes. back to Vanessa's.
Yes.
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
except don't come at Vanessa with hungry like a wolf.
Well, I don't mind that. Don't come at me with Rio. Rio, I'm so sick of Rio.
Oh,
So tired of Rio.
that was like one of my favorite. Well, I really liked the "Hungry Like a Wolf" video best when I was a kid, but
I mean,
I liked
yeah.
Rio too. But I was a kid, you
Well,
know.
the videos are
Videos.
awesome.
The more pop, the better when you're a kid.
The videos are awesome.
Are there Buffy references in your books, Jennifer?
Yeah, actually, I believe in The Mother We Share.
Sorry,
Jennifer's.
I think there is.
I'm in it for both of you, so both of you can answer.
But yeah, her little gang, Evie's little like group of friends, and they're searching this supernatural entity. They're kind of like my Scooby Gang. Like that's in my brain. That's what I call them, is the Scooby Gang, because they're trying to work it out together.
I call all of my little groups like that. I call them all Scoobies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I actually I managed to throw a Buffy reference into mine. First book, they had to have an alias, and one of them, she's a redhead. She got the ID is Willow Rosenberg.
Yes.
Nice.
And,
Yes.
and her wife bursts out laughing because she knew the reference and the one who got it didn't. She's going, "What? What's so funny?
That's great.
Who is this person?"
That's great.
That's awesome.
They reference Scooby Doo in Far From Home too.
Oh.
Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Why don't you guys go just Scooby Doo this shit? That's what.
I love it. I love it.
Oh.
I do fairy tales a lot too. Just because I grew up, like those were the first stories when I was a really little kid, because my grandma used to read them to me. And they've always been like just a core part of myself, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of it, you know, because she read the original fairy tales, like not the sanitized version. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
darker. True.
or
The ones that are
Right.
supposed to terrify you with good behavior.
Right. Right, the ones where like the stepsisters in Cinderella are cutting off their toes and their heel to fit
Yes.
into the slipper.
shoe.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Or the Rapunzel, where the prince falls from the tower and thorns poke his eyes out, and he's wandering in the desert for like 10 years, weeping, wondering where she is, and then they end up reuniting, and it's, you know, wonderful. But yeah, like those are the ones I loved as a kid. Go figure why I read dark fiction. I don't know.
We've got good taste.
Yeah.
I think we nailed it.
Yeah, and like even the hand.
You might be onto something there, Jennifer.
Yeah.
The original Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
She turns into the sea foam.
Yes. Which I was definitely inspired by that too, with Dead in the Water. I mean, again, I'm trying not to give spoilers, but you know, there's a darkness to that story about unrequited love, you know, and how it can drive people to extremes. Like the poor little mermaid, she falls in love with the prince, but he doesn't want her, you know.
It's also got a Faustian reference to it.
Yes, yes. But yeah, but she, when it comes down to it, she could kill and like get him, but she decides to kill herself instead, which is just so sad. Like, you know, that she would do that for love when there's a whole big world out there. You know, who knows what she could have found if she went out there instead of just becoming sea foam. You know, poor thing.
Moral of the story: don't do that. Anyone who's watching this,
Right? Please don't. There's always a future. Please.
And it's interesting because, like, you can equate that to modern times with Kanye. We were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Love, right? So
Right. I mean, he's
Bring it
Kanye
full
freaking
circle,
West.
Vanessa.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did they do?
Well, he could
Way to
find
bring it full
a
circle.
ton of people.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and also
Vicious.
that just life in general isn't always, you know, easy. Like people don't always get along. People aren't always going to be nice to you, and I think we have to, you know, prepare ourselves to armor up when need be. You know, and not let things get to us so much.
And pick your battles. Like that's a cliche, but it's a really true saying.
Yeah.
There's some things worth going like all the way to fight for, and there's some things that you should just let go because you're gonna have other stuff that you need the energy for.
And life is too short to be offended by everything. Like,
Right.
just, you know, look for the positive, you know, and that's the other thing too. It's like, you don't have to read those posts. You don't have to watch those things. You can just shut it off, walk away, and go do something that makes you happy. You don't have to engage, you know, and I think
not all people have that privilege. I don't want to get into big politics and stuff, but not everybody. There are people who, when they do walk away, they're still the same person and they still get the same kind of thing that is not online, that is in real life. So I agree with you that we have to like pick our battles and not engage when it's going to cause us more damage than it is benefit. But the idea that everyone can just walk away and everything will be okay is not realistic for all people.
Of course, I'm talking about
in
more
the media.
engaging online and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking more about engaging online. Of course, in real life, we all have our battles. We have our crosses to bear. You know, everybody, regardless of how charmed their life might seem, everybody, you know, has battles.
Right. But what I mean is like, there are some people who like, they can't just leave something online, because when they walk out their door, they still run into all the same stuff. It's not.
Yes, I understand.
You know what I mean?
Understand what you mean.
That was my point.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
and
there's an overlap.
Valid. I'm just painting with a broad brush.
No, I understand.
Generalizing.
Well, like even with fandoms, you know, there's always like, well, we were talking about remakes and stuff about how that divides people. You know, you don't have to watch it. If you see it coming up and you're like, wow, this looks like I'm going to be really upset and angry if I watch this because I love the original, then don't watch it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that simple, because it's not going to affect you. So don't let it eat up your time, your energy, your positivity, because there's more important stuff in your personal life that you can focus that on.
Exactly. Like, how many ladies, do you have any friends who watch the new Sex in the City and just decided to like bitch about it, you know, but they kept watching it and they kept bitching about it. And I'm just like, I knew it wasn't going to be good. I didn't want to watch it.
I'm not watching a Sex in the City without Samantha. So, I mean, I don't even know how it is.
You know, but I also defended those ladies. And I said, yeah, but you don't understand. They're providing over 100 people with jobs. And and it's just 3 of them taking all the shit for everybody, you know? And I said, those 3 women probably didn't need the money, but they gave jobs to all these other people who did.
That's true.
You know, which nobody thinks about that either.
Things.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Are they remaking that?
Please don't remake it. I just rewatched it because it's like my favorite movie from childhood, and I will not watch it with The Rock.
You know, the thing that really bugs me is that there are so many quality stories out there.
Exactly.
Doing, and all they're doing is like chewing cud and just regurgitating. You know,
we are all either authors, editors, creators, whatever.
I told you, it's a horrible business. It's all about making money. It's all about they're going with the safe bet. They know it's going to make money, so they're going to do it. Over anything, they don't want to take any chances, any risks. Because if they do that, then it's their job. It's their livelihood. So, you know, they are going to make sure that they keep their job and keep what's going on in Hollywood going, because it makes everybody money.
It's almost like a political thing.
Oh, thank goodness they canceled it.
And you know, Jennifer. This is my Jennifer. We were doing an interview. What seems like so long ago.
The Grady Bunch, right?
You know, we both worked in film, and we were having a discussion one time on, I think her show. Now I don't even know where to look.
Sorry.
And but I worked in the calm. I worked in television commercials in New York City for a long time, and I was behind the scenes and so many castings and so many meetings, because we'd be, you know, I'd be on from the very, very beginning until the very, very end, and you would kind of see this process, you know. And I came out of theater as a kid and all these things, and like suddenly I was seeing these other things, these behind, and they're not even like behind the scenes. It's just the way the world kind of works. And one thing I started noticing a lot, and especially in TV commercials, which isn't something I'd ever thought much about, but you would go in and that people would audition, and you might be like, oh my gosh, this person's a standout, or they're great, you know, right away. Not that everyone wasn't talented, but there'd be certain people, 100%. that person. And then you have a lot of chefs, you have a lot, the ad agency, the production team, that all these people, and they all have creative visions. They're all kind of unified, but at the same time, you have all these personalities that are thinking about something else. And I would always watch, and what would often happen is by the time we got to the final casting, they would choose a person who you'd later realize was cast in everything. And you've seen in a million commercials. And, a lot of times they would conform to certain stereotypes, but a lot of times that person, I'm like, she or he is in everything. Cause I worked, I worked on hundreds and hundreds of commercials, and they started, we talk about it, and people are like, yeah, it's this weird thing. Cause subconsciously you're like, there's something familiar there. And I like that. I like that familiarity, and it makes me feel comfortable, and I go towards it. And like, good thing for those people, because those actors thankfully had wonderful careers, and like no one knew who they were, but they were working all the time. And then like Paul, the Rising guy, there's a few of them who became known for their, who they were. And that was kind of an interesting thing. But a lot of those people work all the time. You see them all the time, and you don't realize they're selling you dish soap, and they're selling you, I don't know, airline tickets, or, whatever it is. And I think that must, to some degree, I think there is, that must happen in the creative process when you're a big book publisher, when you are a filmmaker, with all these things. And there's almost like a grapple. You're like, there's business smarts, and I know certain things I should remake, something that I know people would like. But then there's just like, you get drawn into the thing. It's like the bad comfort food that you're like, oh, my mom made it, and I know it's not healthy, but I love it. And
it's the power of nostalgia.
Yeah. And I think, they're not, because you're like, how are you regurgitating so many of these shows? But there's also these weird things we do. Japanese lip box for men.
Yeah. Yeah, they did it on South Park a few years ago, the member berries. But it's so true. It's like this obsession with nostalgia, and you see it so often in books and movies, sometimes done really well and subtly, because there's a lot of things that are reimagined, reinvented for each generation. And but it's still like, they're still separate. Like, it's still kind of its own unique thing, even though they're kind of inspired by, but then there's straight up rip-offs or remakes that have no imagination attached to them. Yeah. Like, I hate to say one that's probably coming out, but I'm not a fan of the Lord of the Rings thing that's been shown around. Again, as a token lore fan, Ready Player One. Yeah, I didn't care. Well, that wasn't bad, but it was so many too many pop culture references.
Well, the book is better than the movie. I will say that on that part, because they totally went way different on the movie than what was in the book.
But I think Jennifer, one that kind of illustrates that is Stranger Things.
Yes.
It's a story that is inspired by a particular generation and a particular type of story.
Right.
But it's still original.
Right. Well,
you don't have to remake anything.
I feel like I really enjoyed the first season, maybe 2 seasons of the Stranger Things. And then it started getting really gimmicky.
Yeah.
Because it kind of crosses the line. At first, you can include the nostalgia and have it be like, wow, this is so awesome. I feel like a kid again. But then that kind of becomes all that it is. And then it loses whatever. And that's what I don't like. Because, I love we're all inspired by everything. I don't think anything's, what do they say? All the stories that have already been told have already been written.
Yeah.
And we're all just kind of like writing our own thing inspired by something else, which is fine. But you just got to have some subtlety to it. That's all I'm saying,
Yeah. I rewatched the Drew Barrymore movie Ever After, which is a Cinderella, but it's told in a different kind of way. I actually rewatched that a couple nights ago. It was Valentine's week.
Oh, such a good movie.
It's such a good movie. And that's the thing. It's not the typical, Cinderella story. And I love the way that they engage, and she's combative. And it's definitely an original retelling of a classic. And and I think that's what people get upset about, is that there are so many missed opportunities on retelling a nostalgic known story in an original way.
How about 10 Things I Hate About You? It's the Taming of the Shrew.
That's amazing. That movie's great. Yes.
Forbidden Planet is The Tempest.
Yeah. And I mean, back to the Ever After one, like too, I really loved because it was one of those where it really shows. It's a great feminist movie, I think, because I love feminist stuff, you know, and but it's great. It does the job right. It shows feminism and women from multiple different angles. What I hate is the pandering, like when it comes to like, hey, I've got a strong female character. You interested? And of course I'm interested, so I'll watch or read whatever. But sometimes it's like instead of a strong woman, I get a man with boobs, and I don't like that. You know, like can't she be strong and maybe the other men around her are not complete morons, because that's not fun. Is she only strong because she's surrounded by idiots? Because that's kind of a loss, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I agree 100%.
You know, I agree 100% as well. And I'm so glad that we were able to spend this time with everybody here tonight. It's been a lovely
Just like we are done.
Remember what I said at the beginning? It just creeps up on you and get to the point where it's like, all right, I gotta cut you off, and I don't like that.
Last call, guys. Last call.
But it's been a lovely conversation with everybody. So let's go around the room, because the one thing I want everybody to do is to look everybody up and get everybody's stuff. So that's something that's important to me. So we'll go the opposite direction this time. So I think we'll start with you, Jennifer. Susie, we'll start with you. So tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at jenniferlsusie.com, and I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So just drop a line and I will talk with you about whatever, and probably longer than you wanted to hear me talk. So
awesome. All right. And Stephanie, where can everybody find you at?
All the usual places where you like books, Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, BookBub, Goodreads, and a lot of my stuff was pulled down because there's been like a kind of weird transitional at the end of the year, and so a lot of my series are pulled down because I'm recovering and relaunching. But I have a new story in Vella that's going to be, well, just go to Amazon or any of those places, and I'll tell you, and you can find books, and it's going to be exciting next 2 years of releases. So come find me, and I'll talk to you also way too much.
All right. We love it. Please, we'd love you to come back and talk some more. All right. Jennifer, you're Jennifer Lieberman. You want to tell everybody where they can find you? Obviously, we can see it, but you know.
Yes, definitely. So you can find me at jenniferliebermanactor.com. You can find my books on Amazon and all the usual book places. My novel, Year of the What, was voted Best Rom-Com of 2021. It is a racy coming-of-age comedy. You can find me on all social media at I am Jen Lieberman.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks for being here. It was nice having you. All right, Madeline, you want to tell everybody?
You can find me and my work all at this website down here. Other arm. I always get thrown off when I switch arms. You can also find links to all of my social media. My books are published wide, and I actually discovered, I was really excited about this because I did something different this time. I published with Ingram. I have paperbacks available through Barnes & Noble. So, yeah. There you go, guys.
Awesome. Cool. Everybody go get it. It's a fantastic book.
Thank you, Joe.
I really loved it. All right, Vanessa?
Hey, so you can find me at vanessajunta.com. It's not actually there. Wait a minute. Hang on. Which side? This side. But that's how you spell my name. And you can find me on Amazon and all the places. Also, if you're a writer and you would like to get involved with a supportive writers group, I run the Writing Tribe on Facebook. We do I do sprints on Twitch. We do lots of Zoom sprints and discussions and things like that. You can find us by searching for the Writing Tribe or TWT. You just look for TWT, you'll find it. So feel free to join us. We're a pretty good group, like probably almost half of the people on this call are part of it. So come join us.
Awesome. All right. And Adam, you want to tell everybody where they can find you, sir?
Sure. Go to CassidyChronicles.com. That is the best place to start off, but all the books are on Amazon. They are coming out of Kindle Unlimited, so they are in the process of going wide through draft to digital. Their paperback, hardback, ebook, audiobook, and the new one, which is a collection of short stories and longer works, Into the Black, comes out April 18th.
Woo!
Yes, we're looking forward to that. And welcome to Go Indie Now. You found us. Congratulations. We were hiding from you, and you found us. So congratulations. It's really awesome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And while you're here, smash that like button. We love it when you do that. Subscribe, comment, do all those wonderful things. Share, share with the universe. Make other people find us. We would love for that to happen. But that being said, we really appreciate you being here. And just a couple of housekeeping notes from me. I just released a new Spotlight episode for rom-com that came out on Valentine's Day called Along Came Wanda. It's a really great LGBTQ romantic comedy, very different, very interesting. I also reviewed it on our blog, which is Fresh Butter Popcorn, and as you can see there, it's right there. It's the one at the bottom there, but also I just released a review of a couple cozy mysteries from Lily Lucchese, who will be joining me on Sunday for This Week in Indies, which is February 20th. We're going to be talking about so, of course, of the big story this year is the big merger. And so, but we're going to come at it from a different angle because a lot of people are wondering what they can expect in 4 months. How long is this transition going to take? What about all the programs that Draft Digital was doing, Smashwords was doing? Well, we discovered, or if you were if you were here with us beforehand in November, you would have learned that in our newscast, we talked about another merger that happened, and that merger now is bearing fruit from November. So, and we're going to kind of look at that and see if there's any comparisons, if there's any ideas, or if there's anything that anybody gleams from that as exciting. And we'll be doing that at noon Eastern. We do it every Sunday, This Week in Indies. And, the reason why we always do that, because it is always time
to go indie now.
Yes.
Right now.